I'm just going to be upfront with a lot of people. The thing that I figured out is extremely massive, so it's extremely hard to explain how every single field of study was used to overlay to see a picture. And the picture was just what reality actually is, in conjunction with what our mind is and conscious thought. The issue now becomes, how do we get on the same page? And you can see everything going on. And from there, you can just follow the route. You go back to first principles. But people don't really do that. There's also the need to push further past thought. So once you come to an understanding, you have to evolve. You have to grow. You have to move past it. But you also have to remember that there's a way to plot vectors forward and back in your mind conceptually. So you use the root, which would be, a duality. It's just always a duality, currently, which would be hope or fear, right or wrong, 1 or 0, all that nonsense. But then those have evolutions, which would be like when you overlay like fight, flight, or freeze. But freeze isn't a thing. Well, it is. It's an evolution of flight, just like rage would be an evolution of fight. And from there, you're constantly conditioning yourself via external and internal stimuli, which we already know, but it's a personal thing. Your belief structures are the conditioning, and your mind will protect them, because it is like a mirror, especially when you're trying to look at something. We already know what refractions of light are, which is why the concepts of perception mean that we cannot see certain things that we want to. But when you use that, you can plot the vectors back and forth, because you're just filtering the cause and effect of emotions through two filters. And you can see the one which leaves the other. So intelligence would be math, just normal math of numbers like reality. And then wisdom would be the calculus of people. And that's all it is. And it's different questions with different vectors and different equations, but all of them come out the same way. This is why when you use art to juxtapose with everything else, you answer the question and you realize that, there's an X-ray that you can basically use on humanity as a whole. And you realize that it's not nature or nurture, it's nature and nurture. The issue becomes people's need to put things against each other, because they assume that the annihilation of electron and positron just because it's what we saw. And then also the weak and strong forces need to be changed to dominant and submissive, because conceptually it works around. Because the double slit experiment, as I've said, was a thought experiment, because we're both particles and wavelengths, and the evolution of thought is easy to understand, because the ramifications of that is just figuring out the ramifications of your actions on a plotted vector. Like, it's easy to explain, hard to pin down in a conversation unless you're physically there with someone. If I'm physically talking to someone, it's infinitely easier. But I have to do this the hard way. And that's okay, because I have this for a reason. It says you're going to carry that weight. But it's also in something else. Either way, moving past that. That's all I wanted to say right now. I'm going to go to bed. I got to work tomorrow. I still got to work the normal life. That's what the irony of the situation. In order to figure out where I need to go, I need to get the signal boost. But you know how that works.